Hi, I'm Hermine Hartman with more of Conversations with Rev Jackson, and today we're going to be joined by two of my very good friends, Melody Span Cooper of WVON and Abe Thompson, just a media Mongol who started riding the bus and selling ads. Rev Jackson, VON, Black radio played a very important role in the development, the growth of Operation Breadbasket, Operation Push. Tell us about that.
At the time when Sammy Davis had to fly me L.A., New York, there was a club show on Saturday night where there had no access.
That's right.
That really was the key. Don Cornelius, met him, he was selling
Soul Train.
VON, newsman.
Mm-hmm.
He met a lot of artists at VON and then moved to a Soul Train. Mm-hmm. Many of our Barry Gordon would come to VON because he could break records out of Chicago and Al Bell and Atlantic. The fact is that these, VON was a 1,000 watt station, and 50,000 watt station couldn't compete with VON. Mm-hmm. So we influenced the station to the right, not them to the left. And so it was interesting about that, the good guys, they were enjoying, they make a little bit of money, and they hustle all the good. Her dad was an entrepreneur.
Purvis Span.
Yeah, he was a blues man from 12 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning.
Entrepreneur in the daytime.
Well, he wanted to buy the station. The guy wanted to be on the station. He wanted to own the station. Mm-hmm. He did own the station.
That's Leonard Chess.
His daughter, his daughter runs the station. She inherited that, my father's work.
Melody Span.
Because he had a sense of bringing artists to town, and they hired Chaparral at one of his places to entertain.
So he had entertainment, he had clubs, and he had entertainment and promoted the entertainment via
when the
VON.
political break started, they said, you show me a Harold Washington, I'll show you VON. Show me first Southern New York, I show you WLIB. Where there was black radio, that became the centerpiece of information. Mm-hmm. And it ran through there in many ways.
And then also, Push began to broadcast on WVON, which grew our audience.
What used to happen is that they had a Dawson's Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. Breadbasket got so hot until the guys said, well, we don't need the Dawson Breadbasket. Mm-hmm. So the black guys, George Johnson, George Jones, they put a camp together, and they paid for an hour. They would tell us what to say. Mm-hmm. So we ran broadcasts with VON. And in the end, we ended up getting more wattage, more leverage, because the key to us was black radio. Mm-hmm. And that's why today, FCC and black radio stations, we need more radio stations. Mm-hmm. And TV stations, we just don't have it.
Melody, you grew up at WVON, and you know bottom up as a child, really,
sure.
Working with your dad.
Right.
And you too have always been involved with Breadbasket. Now you remember Black Expo from another perspective. Yeah. You weren't a vendor there, but your VON was very, very important part of Expo. Yeah. But you as a kid, you saw Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 there. Tell me about that experience.
I did, and not even realizing that it was necessarily Black Expo that was emanating out of Breadbasket, but just a place, a space where black empowerment was. I was 6 or 7 years old, and there was black people, I mean, just everywhere, right? And such a sense of pride. I came up, in a different space in Chicago because of the work of Rev Jackson in the Breadbasket. And because of who my father was, I never understood lack. I never understood being inferior. I always thought that my blackness was superior. I mean, I lived in a black community. I had a black successful dad, and there was black empowerment all over Chicago. And so
you were privileged.
I was privileged, but so were my neighbors. Mm-hmm. So black in the 70s, I think we were at the height of our progress for black people. Right?
Black is beautiful, black power.
And in the center of it was this handsome man with a dashiki
saying that
I am somebody. We were somebody.
And we were. So you went and saw the Jackson 5 at Black Expo.
Yeah, and with 30,000 other screaming people.
10-year-olds.
I
No,
mean,
10-year-old
yeah,
girls.
yeah.
It wasn't people.
We're at Dr. Hayes' office is 366 East 47th Street. And Julius Jerry came by and said, look, these kids want to sing at Expo. So we can't.
The kids from Gary.
Yeah, so we can't do it because we have Nancy Wilson, we have Quincy Jones, we have
Rita Franklin.
Rita Franklin, we can't do it.
Marvin Gaye.
And so he said, well, they was across at the Tivoli for 250 Jackson 5. So these come down and speak to the kids. So when they're in a station wagon and a U-Haul attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they moved Saturday afternoon. They came Saturday afternoon, and guess what? They never came back down.
One of the things that I like to talk about with hanging out and being a part of Breadbasket is that everywhere we went, there were also musicians that were famous. My best story is that we thought we were somebody when they elected the mayor of Gary, Indiana. We were doing a music thing, the band and the Piperettes, and there was this little group of young boys who were going to follow us. Little did people know that that was the Jackson Fives.
We're about to introduce our perfect examples of young people who have been saved and who are willing to do everything they can to help save others. They come to us here at Expo 72, riding the crest of a string of smash recordings that seems to stretch into infinity. Let's all stand and welcome Michael, Marlon, Jermaine, Tito, Big Jackie, the mighty, mighty Jackson 5.
I happened to be there the day that the Jackson Fives came. I was somewhat sorry. They were so famous by the time of the Expo, we had to literally put them in a truck, drive the back of the truck up to the stage. We could not let them be seen because people were going crazy. And they walked from the truck onto the stage, and they left the same way. They never touched the ground.
Abe, now you've been in, you were working at BON at the time as in sales, and you have grown. Talk about your experience with Reverend Jackson.
Well, my experience with Rev Jackson and VON goes back way before I started VON. When I was a kid, and this Southern gentleman was here talking about I am somebody and Operation Push out of Dashiki, and I wanted to go see him because he was somebody like me who was representing everything I wanted to be. You know, I wanted to be strong, and I wanted to be caring for people. I wanted to do something for my country, and Reverend Jackson was that. And then when I was in college, I met this guy, Rev Jackson, and I would go to the concerts when I came home from school, and he would give me free tickets.
He gave you a free ticket? Why do you get a free ticket, Dave?
I just call him, talk to him, go there, hang out, say, Mr. Span, I listen to you on the radio station. But here's the thing about Push, Expo, and BON. The relationship between all those things was so loving and symbiotic that it uplifted everything. When you went to the Expo, when you listened to Span or heard Ken on the air, when you listened to VON, you felt good. I mean, you felt good about Push. You felt, and they all helped each other. You know, and the artists came to the Expo because it helped them. They came because it helped VON. VON came to Push. I mean, like I said, it was a family love fest. I mean, I loved it.
But watch this. Imagine him booking these acts and the amphitheater, 30,000 seats, and every one of them full.
Well, the thing was that and we would come out of our doldrum of fear. We'd come north with the movement.
Yeah.
And Chicago had all these disconnected pieces. Only black daily news here was Fender, Jet Never was here. We was owned by Little Chester, black oriented. VON was Voice of Negro, VON stood for. And we had all these artists and You had the James, they were at Chess Records, and the Chi-Town Sound, Carl Davis and all that. We had all these, and so we pulled them together, and I think when Dr. King was killed, people, you could either surrender or fight back. They chose to fight back. We created for them a platform to fight on. I remember Marvin Gaye and coming, and when Barry would take a night, Motown night.
Motown night.
Yeah, would take a night. But what happened was that the Jackson 5 came on Saturday afternoon, free at that time. Even Abner put up a $100,000 stamp, $100,000 merry-go-round type thing. And Barry was on it first, but it worked out. I mean, we featured them, and to the last days, Michael thanked us for their start.
Reverend, we introduced them. Purvis Span, we introduced the Jackson 5. Didn't nobody know nothing about the little boys from Gary.
They were at the Tivoli across the street.
Yeah.
At the Regal.
At the Regal across the street. When Dick Hatcher did his first inauguration, so to speak. And people wanted to see Sammy Davis and Belafonte, but Harrison wanted these kids to perform. And I give Joe and Mrs. Jackson a lot of credit. They stayed in a four-room house, triple-decker beds. He cleaned the living room out and they would dance.
9 kids.
And then up here and went to
Miss something?
LA on a station wagon. One of the great stories about time. But see, I'm back to the radio. When you're on radio, you tell your story.
Yeah.
That's right. When you own media, you can tell your story.
It's Facebook.
Not filtered, unfiltered.
Facebook and all that's important. People need to hear the voices.
Yeah.
That's right.
You remember Prince and Joy hamburgers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those were good hamburgers.
Well,
You remember that, Melvin?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
Well, they were very good hamburgers.
Well, that's what Dad said. But Prince and Joy was on 31st or 35th, and Al Benson actually did his show
Upstairs.
And Dad was driving cabs at the time. And he said all he would remember was that people would be 2 to 3 blocks long trying to buy these hamburgers. And he was like, you know, the hamburgers are okay, but it was the man upstairs driving them. So so my dad said, well, hey, you know what? If I can control how people move, I want to be in that business.
When the science radio was up in the 30s, blacks in the lottery. The 50,000 watts, they would give it to the lottery.
Yeah.
Government can't own the station in America. So it's private owned, but they got to a lottery. Before blacks had the right to vote. They got TV stations in the lottery.
Bob Johnson, right?
It was a lottery.
Yeah.
So I'm forever indebted to Larry because West South 11, 12 on at night, CBS Padam, we communicate through West and South at night. Some piece of our community was black radio, black churches on radio.
Melody, now you are a second generation business person, grown up in the business, but you have done just wonders in expanding the station. You increase the wattage. You've taken talk radio to another level where you are really the premier in Chicago, if not the country. You have built a new team. And you've done something even new this year, Vaughn TV. So it's another expansion.
Yeah.
But the roots, and I think that's the point that Abe is making, the root of it all has been in the role models and the mentoring that we have seen and experienced. And how important is
Yeah, but
that?
see, she also did her apprenticeship on her father.
Right.
Her apprenticeship.
Yeah, learning how, because if somebody said, Duke Ellington said, how do you, it's different compositions. So A trains, all that. So I didn't college learn, I couldn't do it. A lot of our people have such contempt for our roots. So she learned the way how to maneuver through her daddy. And that's
She learned the fundamentals of radio. She learned the rudiments.
Those who were successive generations, if they don't take into account the previous generation, they send themselves back.
Yeah, and I know for a fact, I'm the luckiest girl in the world. I mean, I would have had to been pretty bad to mess this up. He really did.
Gave you a good blueprint, did he?
An excellent blueprint. He used every tool in his toolkit to get us, and it wasn't always the most conventional thing that he used.
But he was an
Awareness was
out-of-the-box thinker.
But here's the thing, and Reverend tapped on it. I'm not in the radio business. We're in the people business.
We're in the communications business.
And my dad said that from day one. You want to move people. You want to be able to control people. And we use radio to do that. I think people get confused with the secret sauce of why VON has been around for now 57, 58 years, right? It's in its call letters, the voice of the Negro. We've always been very clear on who this audience is, and we've been reflective of this audience in a very authentic way. So that is what my dad, he taught us that, right? Listen to people. Get, able to move people, have people trust you.
And you've done that. You've done that explicitly.
Facebook rule all of the new stuff has its place, but we still listen to radio.
We still need the voice.
Yeah.
We need the
ability
opinion.
to communicate, and it's instantaneous. Whoever can get on VON right now, tell people exactly what he wants. TV, you gotta go, you gotta get set up, you gotta turn on, can I interrupt this program? Social media, you can get to that instantaneous. Is it true, is it not? Trusted
False news, trusted news. Abe, now you were selling radio. You were not on radio, you were selling ads on radio. What has that, throughout all of your longevity, your experience, from riding a bus to running the station, what has that been like? Because you've had to sell black media, black audiences, black people, to mostly white people. Well, tell me about that.
Well, it was always tough. I mean, because you go in and people tell you things like, we spent our black budget. And I'd say, well, but have you spent your customer budget? Or people would say things like, well, we get our black folks from something else. Or
Through major media.
or they also listen to, you had to not only sell, you not only have to sell, be a salesman, you also have to be an educator.
That's right.
And you have to educate without getting offended. You had to be you almost had to be a psychologist, a salesman, and also their counsel sometimes.
What we're doing today in high-tech media, I really experienced Wall Street Project. Blacks had never done deals on Wall Street like Jim Reynolds, those guys are doing now. We went to, they didn't observe the King holiday. We got it. Silicon Valley, 136 white board members, 36 white women, 3 black, 1 Latino. Now there's black on the board of Facebook and Apple, all that. Our community was informed through radio. So radio is to me, is the key to our kingdom, to access our people.
There would be no Harold Washington had there not been black radio.
About the impact of pushing the rebels' efforts has been, I mean, it's going from, as you said, from Wall Street to music. I mean, how many ministers have had an album dedicated to one of the greatest musicians ever? Cannonball Adderley did Country Preaching.
At the Capitol Theater on a Saturday morning. You remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
Melody don't remember
so
that.
what I'm saying is, when you look at what Push has done, when you look at what is done with radio, when you look at done for the world, I mean, the benefit of Reverend and Rainbow Push and all of Push's programs is not just been for the black community, it's been for the entire American community.
There you go.
The world. The world is a better place because of Push.
American treasure.
Yeah.
That's the way
Absolutely.
Reverend's an American treasure.
Right.
Push is not a black treasure. It's an American treasure.
Exactly.
It's a world treasure.
That's right.
What was taught at Push, when you look at what happened and what it has done almost systemically, I mean, it's just good. It's good for the world.
Chicago became the model frame of reference.
Yeah.
Ken Gibson came up and knew it, wanted to run for mayor. Coleman Young from Detroit. And Chicago became the centerpiece.
Yeah.
The urban of what can happen urban. And the reason why they want Rev Jackson in LA and Cleveland and all these places, because we begin to maximize our dollar. We don't know how to use our vote. We vote reluctantly. It's big. Please vote. Money, don't spend so much. If you learn how to use votes and dollars at the same time, weapons cannot be stopped.
Called market. They call that market share.
Yeah.
And let me tell you this, something I learned from Reverend. Sometimes you're just an attitude away. You change your attitude, you become mayor, You become vice president.
Your attitude affects your altitude?
Hallelujah.
Does
Yeah,
it?
look, you become president.
Of the United States of America? Right here at Push? Came over here to learn how to speak? Is that what you're talking about? On that note, I want to thank Rev Jackson for another exciting conversation. And Abe Thompson moved from the bus to the management and the ownership. And Melody Spann, I'm so glad Purvis took you into the station as a little girl, teach you how to spin records and talk and run the station. And I thank my father for teaching me how to sell Pepsi Cola, but it was how to sell. On that note, Reverend Jackson, you're American treasure.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
American treasure.
American treasure.
Some say my future not that bright. Some say I'm useless, unholy, and I'm not living right. But at the beginning of the day, look in the mirror and say, I am somebody. Oh. Well, I believe the future's in my hand. And I tell every boy, girl, woman, and man, if I can think it, I can believe it, create it and achieve it. So I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Maybe down and pushed away, but at the end of the day, I am somebody. Oh, so take away the hate and give me love. Yeah. So take away the hate and give me love. Give me peace instead of pain, joy inside this rain, and I will remain somebody. Oh, so take away the hate and give me love. Somebody. Take away the hate and show me love. Maybe down but not destroyed, empty but not void, 'cause I am somebody.